Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today I wanted to look at the top 10 underrated games, or what we could call hidden gems of 2021. Now some of the 10 games I've actually already reviewed on the channel, others unfortunately I didn't have time to. Either because they released at a busy time in the schedule, or simply because the game was slightly too long to be able to finish in a timely fashion and have a review ready at launch. Now today's list won't be presented in any specific order, so we aren't going from the weakest of the games to the strongest of the games, we're simply trying to highlight 10 games that truly deserve it. Now for the games that I actually did review on the channel, I'll be linking those reviews down below, so if ever after seeing one of the games you want to get a lot more information on it, you can actually check those reviews out. So now with all that out of the way, let's jump straight into our top 10 list. Just don't forget that if you do like what you see, to please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. So our first game for today is going to be Kaze and the Wild Masks that released on March 26th of this year. Now first of all, this is one I actually fully reviewed on the channel. Now this game is a classic Donkey Kong Country inspired 2D platformer that has some very high production values. So much so that the levels are so well crafted that at certain points you actually might think you're playing a first-party title. Although the basic mechanics of this game are very heavily inspired from that other series, later on during the gameplay with the mask mechanics, it really does add in a little flavor to make it its own. It even manages to reproduce that difficulty curve that we all know, where the last few levels you're going to be dying a ton, but you know what, you're just going to want to push on and finish this game. The major points I would say that probably held this one back is its price point being $29.99 is a lot for some people from an unknown indie title. And secondly, it offers 30 levels, which does feel slightly on the lower side. However, everything is so perfectly crafted that in my book, this is one worth picking up. Worst comes to worst, you just wait for a sale. Now our next underrated or hidden gem title of the day will be one that released on June 5th, and that is Mighty Goose. Now yet again, this is a game I fully reviewed on the channel, and if you watch my eSHOP deals series, I mention pretty much every time it's on sale. It's a great run-and-gun shooter, once again done in a retro style and very heavily inspired by the likes of Metal Slug. It features great animations and over-the-top action that actually at some points becomes quite humoristic. The game also features great customization options that really changes up the gameplay a lot and therefore adds a ton of replayability. So even though some people might say that the main campaign does feel a little short, what's here is extremely enjoyable and you can play this game over and over, time and time again. Now the third game on our list for today is going to be Space Moth Lunar Edition that actually just released on November 18th of this year. Now for a third time in a row, this is a game I actually fully reviewed on the channel, however I promise you that won't be the case for every game today. Now this game is very reminiscent of a Japanese-style arcade bullet hell top-down shooter. And it really offers some great mechanics that create a synergistic flow to the gameplay. Not only that, but they backed it up with some truly stunning visuals. And I would say what blew me away the most is that this is a game that its regular sales price is only $7.99, when most bullet hells of this type will be selling for 3 to 4 times the price. Ultimately, I would say this offers a good experience for veterans of the genre, but is an excellent way to introduce someone who is new to this type of game. Now for the next game on the list, I want to take a look at Monimals. That is actually another recent release of October 21st of this year. So now we get to our first game that unfortunately I did not have time to review on the channel. Now at its heart, this game is an amazing puzzle platformer that uses very original mechanics focusing around underwater gameplay. It also offers incredibly enticing, almost cartoon-like visuals. The game also offers a quite interesting subplot, where as you work through the game, you'll be unlocking musical notes. In between levels, you can use these musical notes to actually compose different music. But ultimately, with this being an incredibly high-quality release in my opinion, I was really disappointed to see that this game didn't get any more attention than it did upon its release. Hopefully, that's something we can correct in the future months. Now for our fifth game for today, we have a game that just released on October 20th of this year, and that is Spectacular Sparky. So yes, now we're back to another game that I fully reviewed on the channel. Now, this one is another amazing run and gun 2D action platformer. However, it almost feels like it's pulled directly from the Sega Genesis. Now, the basic gunplay feels very inspired by something like Gunstar Heroes. However, the humor and design that you have from the characters almost feel like a blend of Battletoads and Earthworm Jim. And if you're a fan of 90s platformers, those are all primo examples of some of the best ones we had. And on top of all this game is actually fully voice acted, sometimes with full levels being dialogue between the different characters. And although some of the dialogue is quite cheesy, it fits in perfectly with the overall style of the game and is very, very convincing. Overall, this is a great throwback title that any 90s fan should definitely jump right into. Now, at our 6th entry, we actually have 2 games, with both Tori and Tori 2 that released this year, one in April, one in October. Now, unfortunately, these are a couple of games that I did not have time to review on the channel. And I'm going to come out right and say it, few games know exactly what they are and price themselves accordingly. But the Tori series, at a regular sale price of only 99 cents, knows exactly what it was going for and fits it actually perfectly. Now, these are simplistic 3D platformers, I would almost say that feel like from the PS1 era, and you know what? They deliver on some really simple fun. Now, the graphics and gameplay won't blow you away, but at only $1 here, these are some amazing offerings for anyone that either is just a fan of old school 3D platforming or that wants to introduce someone new to the genre. Lastly, you can truly tell that this is a passion project because at this budget crazy price, they're even going to be offering free DLC for the second game. Now, next on today's list, we have Rising Hell that actually released on May 20th of this year. Now, we really do have a lot of roguelikes currently available on the Nintendo Switch. So trying to figure out which are truly worth your time can be a really big task. However, one of those releases this year that I think didn't get the attention it deserved is definitely the game we're looking at right now, Rising Hell, which is basically a roguelite that has an original mechanic of all being about vertical progression. You are basically scaling a vertical tower trying to break your way out of hell. And this one really does bring together all the elements you need for a great experience, with beautiful and sinister pixel art, an amazing soundtrack, and dynamic and enticing combat. I actually enjoyed this game so much that I even pre-ordered the physical version that should be coming out in early 2022. Now, for the 8th game on our list for today, I placed Mayhem Brawlers that came out on August 19th of this year. Now, I know I've said it a lot, but yes, this is another game I fully reviewed on the channel. And this time around, we have a very solid side-scrolling beat-em-up. Now, one thing that set this game apart, and actually I enjoyed quite a bit, is how difficult it is at everything other than the easiest setting. Now, not only is its storyline inspired by comics, it also has some visuals that feel like they were pulled straight out of a graphic novel. But once again, what I would say is actually the biggest point about this game is how invested the developers are in making it better. Because since this game has released, it's received major update after major update, with soon a 4th playable character being added to the mix, which was one of the only downsides I had found to this game originally. And once again, I really love highlighting people that have a true dedication to their project and making it the best game they can, and Mayhem Brawlers, I think, is heading in that direction where it will become one of the best brawlers currently available on the Nintendo Switch. Now, at our before last game for today, number 9, I put Super Magbot, that actually released on June 22nd of this year. Now, precision platformer is another genre that we have a ton of entries available on the Nintendo Switch. And once again, figuring out which is worth our attention can be a quite difficult task. However, Super Magbot, in my opinion, is one of the most original entries we've received in the last few years, with a really out there mechanic of actually not being able to jump and having to manipulate magnetic forces through a magnetic gun to make your way through the stages. Now, I think what puts off a lot of people at first is that it does take quite a bit of adaptation to getting used to the mechanics of the game. However, once you do, in my opinion, this was a fantastic experience, that once you actually know a level by heart, it almost feels like you're dancing through the level. Not only that, but this game also offers a free downloadable demo. So why not give it a try? You might just fall in love with it like I did. And now we're finally at our last game for today, which is Smelter, that released on April 22nd of this year. Now, Smelter is a 2D platformer combined with an RTS, which yes, does try to emulate the formula from the ActRaiser series. And although we received a remake of the original ActRaiser this year, I actually preferred Smelter. I'll come right out and say it, the definite high point of this game are the 2D side-scrolling action levels. The RTS sections are nonetheless very good, but they could use a little bit of spicing up. However, overall, I really think they still delivered on an excellent mix of gameplay. However, to fully enjoy this game, you have to be a fan of both genres, side-scrolling and RTSs. Now, if that's the case, don't wait any longer and definitely pick up Smelter. For 2021, it was definitely one of my biggest surprise hits. So that was pretty much it for my list of 10 underrated or hidden gems for 2021. I would love to hear from all of you. What do you think about the games on this list? And what about you? Are there any other hidden gems for 2021 that you think we should be highlighting? And don't forget on the way out that if you did like this content, to please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel if you aren't already, and hitting the notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video.